we have a great pleasure to welcome Margherita Cappelleto as our Blue expert. Margherita is technologist at the Department of Earth System Science and Environmental Technologies of the National Research Council of Italy, with a background in astronomy and astrophysics and science communication. Margherita works at the interface between science and policy, including programs and projects developed in collaboration with national, European, and international organizations. Since 2016, she is the project manager of the BlueMed Coordination and Support Action, a project funded by the European Commission to support BlueMed, the intergovernmental research and innovation initiatives for blue jobs and growth in the Mediterranean area, joined by 16 countries. So I would just now invite our Vice Rector and lead of our Work Package 5 to do a small introduction and tell us a little bit about CEU.
Okay, thank you, Nicola. And dear colleagues, it's a pleasure to welcome you on behalf of the University of Split and the CEU Alliance. Our alliance binds together 6 coastal universities: University of Cadiz, Brest, Kiel, Gdańsk, Malta, and Split. Together, we really want to make a quantum leap for future education, to really connecting our universities in a transdisciplinary, multi-sectoral environment, international one, and really connect in a very good way education and research, enabling our students to move seamlessly between our universities, but also to our researchers. And we really want to reach out to all the stakeholders and adjust our new future study programs and our research programs to really enable innovation in our regions and to respond to the needs of the economy. So with these Blue Talks, we are really trying to make this connection to the sector of blue economy, which is, as Nicola said, quite wide. And we are inviting also not just the members of our universities, but other stakeholders like our today's speaker. And we're hoping to really find out as much as possible about other initiatives, to try to reconnect to them and to see what are the possibilities for us to go forward. What are the possibilities for our students, for our researchers, and for our regions. So I won't be much longer. So I'm looking forward to your talk. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Nicola. Thank you very much, Vice Rector. It's a pleasure for me to be part of this webinar series. I think that what you just said, it's really at the core of the blue economy and perhaps one of the major gaps equipping the workforce of the next generation. So I have to admit that I was not so aware of the work of CEU, but I see a very key, it is a very key actor in the future of the blue economy. So thank you also for giving me the opportunity to know the network and to listen to your introduction. Welcome everybody. My name is Margherita Cappelleto. I work at the National Research Council of Italy, and since 2016 I'm managing the BlueMed coordination and support action. That is basically, that is basically the networking action that support the BlueMed initiative. I have to begin with a disclaimer. I will not go deep into science, because here we are talking about an interface, the interface between science and policy, which is nowadays as important as doing science. Otherwise, scientific results will be stick in the desk in our computers, but as far as they do not inform properly the decision makers, they perhaps in particular talking about blue economy are unuseful. And to prove this, I would tell you a tale, the tale of the BlueMed Research and Innovation Initiative for Blue Jobs and Growth in the Mediterranean area. That is one of the examples, not the only one, of how to, thanks, starting from research and innovation, try to build an evidence-based governance at the sea level, in particular for the Mediterranean Sea, where you have to cope, first of all, with the common. The sea has no borders, as we used to say, and with the complexity and the diversity of such a system. We started from what I used to call a box, from a policy framework launched back in 2012 by the European Commission as a regional declination of the blue growth strategy. And we are now here in the after having built a lot of connection in the Mediterranean to really develop a sustainable blue economy, or better, to build the cooperation infrastructure that will help future activities in sustainable blue economy. Let's start from looking at facts, as scientists usually do. It's, I mean, obvious to say that the Mediterranean is a hotspot of global warming. It is a basin exposed to critical environmental threats and anthropogenic stressor that accumulates from historical era. In these three banners, the main feature of this basin are emphasized and condensed. We have from one side the unique biodiversity, from the other side an exploitation and use of the coast that it's really impactful. At the same time, we are a basin where three different continents are shared by three different continents, where many different cultures face each other. And we do not have to forget throughout the presentation this important picture. In this common, here comes the activities of the blue economy. According to the European Parliament, 18 official, let's call them this way, official economic activities using the sea are recognizing, and they use the same physical space, they interface with each other. The full development of one activity can impact on another. So from this picture, it is clear that only an integrated approach can really work. At the same time, the conflicting use of the sea is also reflected in the so-called policy jungle, the framework that each sector is following by definition, from the environmental perspective till the social, societal and economic one, is really crowded. And perhaps again, this could look like empty boxes, but in Europe first, we are adhering, we are obliged to, in some cases, like in the cases of compulsory directives, to follow these frameworks. So again, for a scientist, it's important to note that there are some policy framework that the topic of his scientific research reflects. This is another picture of identifying key activities and sector, so that we start associating to the, let's say, general and poetic blue economy words some concrete activities, spanning from aquaculture to offshore wind energy to resource extraction, to the new coming blue biotechnology, and of course, and in particular, this is super important for the Mediterranean economy, tourism. Sectors that really are, I mean, key economic figures for the Mediterranean Sea economy. So when you see these facts, when we saw this fact, when scientists put together such a picture, the request of the Mediterranean countries of the European Union was to react. And to react by putting in place an architecture that could, in a way, let's say, put together the different branch of the quadruple helix of the society in a dialogue to try to develop a sustainable growth according by the definition that Ekes et al. Said in 2018. And under the proposal of the Italian presidency of the European Council back in 2014, the BlueMed initiative was launched at the beginning with the development of a first strategic research and innovation agenda. So we basically started from a box and came into a book, which is not an action, but here again, I have to remark that in order to build a framework and consolidate the proper trust that will lead you to the implementation of activities, there is the need of time, in particular for such a complex area like the Mediterranean. So it was after the official endorsement of the BlueMed strategic agenda that the project that my department coordinates fully started. And to enable this dialogue that was necessary among the stakeholders, the first tool that was put in place was the BlueMed platforms. We thought necessary that countries have the opportunity to be engaged in virtual environments according to the sector they represent. And it was thanks to these platforms that we run consultation, because a document that starts from scientific needs cannot avoid to integrate the needs of the industry, the societal needs, and of course the ones of the decision makers. There was an important gap that needed to be solved at the political level, and it was solved immediately after. That was the full integration of the southern shore of the Mediterranean Sea into the process. And thanks to it, again, we had the need to set the policy framework for this, and the Union for Mediterranean was crucial in this process. A steering group for the BlueMed initiative, counting 16 countries from the European shores and the non-European shores, was finally set up. So the integration at this point was, let's say, full. We had a set of clearly aim of consultation, discovery, communication, and collaboration that, as a project supporting a political initiative, we need to develop. For this, it was the deployment of a science diplomacy tool, and the internationalization was crucial. We engaged young people. This is perhaps relevant for your network. This was one of our best experience, the setup of the program of the BlueMed Young Communication Ambassadors. And finally, deliver a strategic agenda revolving around 4 pillars with the clear scientific challenges that was fully endorsed by the Mediterranean countries. Again, this is just a book, it's not a concrete action, but we moved a step forward. We started from a box, we went to a first incomplete agenda, and then to a more concrete one, including the needs of the non-EU Mediterranean country. The last step was to focus, because this strategic agenda is basically a wish list, a long menu of action and goals that you would like to reach. We need to focus. There was an intense process of recognizing the most important priorities, and we came up with 13 shared priorities for the Mediterranean countries. Another ingredient of building such governance is the flexibility. Each national research system has its own way, so provided a common setup, a common framework, it is important that the flexibility on how each country works at national level is guaranteed. And this is also a mechanism to enhance the cross trust among countries and really reach the science diplomacy as we intended. And here it is. These are the priority goals that need to be reached to foster sustainable, non-conflicting blue growth in the Mediterranean. We span from a thematic aspect that are dealing, for example, with the necessity of sustainable transport systems, to the needs of understanding pollution impacts, mitigation and remediation, to more cross-cutting priorities. And here, this is the one that really is adhere to the objective of CAU. It's the priority on building capacity, blue skills, and blue professional. This is one that is recognized as key. And I'm saying this not only, let's say, from the EU perspective and the EU policies, but it's really yesterday I co-organized a workshop in the framework of the UN Decade of Ocean Science for Sustainable Development. The Southern Mediterranean country clearly asked for more capacity building and filling the north-south gap. So this is very crucial in the coming years. Let's come back a little bit to the architecture inside such, again, a book. These works, it's process during which step by step you get closer to the development of the action, and sometimes it's difficult that you cannot just start immediately with a big research project because the receipt is there, but if you are equipped with the tool and if you are working in a framework that is really agreed at policy level, then the work flows smoothly. And what we thought was to deliver a tool. You have an action with the definition of what to do and the way to promote this action, and some fact sheet, so the time frame that an action should last, an indicative budget range, the proposed funding, and the tools. Because of course, without funding and without identifying the proper framework and the proper tools where to develop your activities, you really cannot fully exploit it. I don't know if you noted that I am put some strange capital letters in some slides, because at the same time, these documents that we are producing are either tools for act, and at the same time, looking from inside the process, they are results. So we are delivering tools as results of our process and of our support to the full development of the BlueMed initiatives. To give an example of the architecture of this implementation plan, here we have the priority understanding pollution impacts, mitigation and remediation. We briefly define the objectives and address some operational aspects that need to be tackled because they have been identified through this consultation as gaps. And we suggest specific, well-defined strategic action that need to be jointly implemented. And here we have the first concrete action that stemmed from this process, and it is the launch of the pilot action for healthy Plaxty-free Mediterranean Sea. You could say now that we, in this timeline, we started in 2014, so it's really exhausting because after 4 years, it was the first that saw something concrete. But again, this is part of the game, as I understood lately during the process. There is really the need to consolidate trust, to check out results, to map, to really put all actors together before passing into action. And here we have the pilot initiative on healthy Plaxty-free Mediterranean Sea, again clearly starting from facts, and in particular here the plastic traps as one source of the many pollution sources that are damaging the Mediterranean ecosystems, including the bad relationship between what is produced in land and what is delivered on the sea, that acts as a buffer of what we did in land. And here there is the red air, because this is a result, clear as a result. And then countries from the Mediterranean Sea that decided to join their effort to tackle this problem. And because they were used to such, let's say, a collaborative process, what started, it was first of all the sharing of best practices and experience, in order not to start from scratch, in order to stimulate innovation, and in order to have some evidence on which to base the next step. So I'm joking and saying here with the fractal broccoli, since it's lunchtime, process again. You have to consider that if we consider the BlueMed as a tree, each priority or each action that develops from the BlueMed can be considered like a branch of this tree, and generates, let's say, other trees again in a cycle. So of course, when you are dealing with an important issues like the plastic pollution that again impacts the environment, but also creates opportunities of recycling, opportunities of producing energies. You have first to see what is each country doing in terms of reducing the generation of plastic waste, preventing the leakages of plastic into the environment, collecting plastic, and let's say connecting actors that are doing research and innovation around the plastic issue. And within this process, so this pilot initiative branch developed its own process. We do not have to forget, this is obvious, but it's important that we recall it, that you always need a place virtually where to show your things in the case of and your results and your achievements and the state of the art, a platform where to share and transfer knowledge, and this has been offered by the Startup Europe Mediterranean platform where the BlueMed has opened a showcase. And this will enable the interconnection among different actors. So little by little, we will aim to really tackle the challenge, and the challenge is the management and reduction of the marine litter, in particular dealing due to plastic and microplastic in the Mediterranean. Let me now ask Nicola to launch the two polls, because we will not have time to go through the 13 priorities, but I would like you to share, to see an example of how this document is built. And I will add something while, so it's just, I am giving you the responsibility to choose one topic just of your interest, and based on this, navigate a little bit the implementation plan. I would try to navigate one thematic priorities and one cross-cutting priorities, and while the people are voting, I'll try to change the sharing, and then Nicholas, you will tell me the result.
Can we all see the results? This is the first time I'm using this, so the votes are coming in. I think that probably when I end the poll, we should all see the results.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, share results. Okay. Can we all see the results?
I see them. I see food production, I think it's 36%, and blue skills is the second, right? The winner. Ah, we have a lot of let's say shared interest. I'll take the. Okay, let me. Can you see now?
Yeah.
Okay. Let me go to the priority. Okay. So this is how the tool looks like. You have a definition of a clear definition of how these topics is connected to the Mediterranean socio and economic system. Blue economy has this word blue because of the sustainability, but it's still economy. And the fact that it was recognized that research and innovation was not anymore to be skipped as a key provider of evidence in such a system. So here the definition states that improvements in fisheries and aquaculture sector are necessary. In particular, if we consider the increasing demand of foods, that it's not only related to the growing population, but to the seasonality. The Mediterranean faces a huge seasonality issue related to tourism. So we have here clearly a problem that affects the entire value chain. There are clear scientific issues connected to the pollution and the ecosystem management of the fisheries and aquaculture and the sustainable management. At the same time, there are important aspects that are related to the consumer behaviors. To this, we always associate some policy framework that in the case of food is, for example, the strategy of the European Commission from farm to fork. And in this short definition, you immediately see that there is the science, there is the society, there is the policy framework. And of course, there is the economic driver, the economic activities. And here you have a list of action that the research system has to develop to reach this goal. And here is the how. We suggested to develop a specific strategic research and innovation action. We basically also, let's say, define the title of this. Of course, this was a deep consultation with different experts through the famous BlueMed platform that I presented, and through the mirror mechanism that were put in place at country level. We suggested the starting time that was completely disrupted by the COVID pandemic, but okay. We suggested the time frame for developing this action and the proposed funding instrument, as well as a tentative budget. From here is the here we have the receipt, while here we have, let's say, the tool to move further to a concrete action. As I presented above, because a big research project is not cannot start tomorrow and is not in the capacity of many of us, including of our BlueMed CSA project, what we decided is to accompany each strategic action with a promotional action. So a small initiative like an event, a workshop, a training course that can stimulate critical thinking about the need to and start connecting potential actors to develop then a proper research project, a so-called strategic action. In the case of the food system, we identified micro intervention with the small and artisanal fisheries and with the consumer, for example. Let me now quickly, because time is running fast, move to the priority on capacity building, that is perhaps the one that interests you most. And since we are in the revision phase of this implementation plan, that will the issue with this document is that they immediately run out of time, and unfortunately, because of the fast evolving landscape. When we publish it, we never thought about the pandemic, so we will try to give some updates to this and include more and more actors like you, for example. And let me jump into the capacity building one that is really. And here you have our nice tree ambassador. This has another, let's say, nuance, another features, because it's one of our cross-cutting priorities, where it states that the human element is crucial for unlock the blue growth potential of the Mediterranean Sea. And as I said at the very beginning, there is a need to close the skill gap between the education on offer and the labor market, increasing cooperation between academia and industry, and increasing the attractiveness of blue sector. And here the necessity of transnational cooperate along from north to south, south to south, and east to west, it's clearly important. Again, the same pattern. We have a list of the receipt, a list of let's say aspects to be tackled, and then comes the idea, the big one. Okay, we can call it the big one, not in terms of tsunami or earthquake, but the big and strategic action. That in this case, the proposal was to develop a cross-disciplinary program on we called at the beginning human element, to enhance the education and curricula of human resources via brain circulation. And I think that CAU could be a very good candidate to implement this action. In this architecture process, to cope with the complexity of the system, perhaps one of the only strategy to put in place, it's an adaptive one. That means that this action can be implemented in via a variable geometry. We are not intending to deliver this document because we are implementing this action. This is a document for the Mediterranean community. Big or less big or small activities can be developed at country level, at the level of a single region of a country, can be developed transnational between 3 or 4 countries, can be wide, be developed at the basin level by all countries. But there is not a unique prescription on this. When you are coping with complex system, variable geometry is the only way to not get stuck, because otherwise you see this big action, you say, okay, I will never start it, it's too ambitious, it's too big. But no, because it's only a matter of identifying the partner that will to collaborate together, and the tools. And this is the reason why we design the implementation plan in this way, to really provide all the key elements for a country, for an international institution, for a regional authority to go further and develop this action. Provided, and thanks to all the works that we did in the background to start this and set up this cooperation framework. Let me quickly come back to the presentation, and no. I share the screen again. Just to conclude, of course, we cannot avoid to see in front of us, we are entering a new programming phase at the European level with the next Horizon Europe framework, where a public-public partnership on blue economies will be launched, and as well a mission dedicated to seas and waters, the so-called Starfish mission. It is crucial that the framework developed, it does not disappear as it appeared, as it took times to appear. It shouldn't disappear. So we need to bring all the effort and the result that the Mediterranean community reached into the next programming, and most importantly, into the upcoming decade of ocean science for sustainable development that will last 10 years until 2030, linked to the Sustainable Development Goals. And this is very, very important. And just to remark that it was a case study. It's perhaps a way, and the only way, through which research and innovation developed a cooperation framework for governing the Mediterranean blue economy, or at least set the first backbones, but there are a lot of important frameworks that we act in synergy with at European, at pan-Mediterranean and sub-regional levels. And we do not have to forget, for example, the United Nations Convention and the Barcelona Convention by the United Nations Environmental Program. And with this, I would like again to thank you. I hope that it wasn't not too far from the context of the webinar series, and to have provided some insight about the BlueMed.
Thank you, Margherita, for energetic and inspirational presentation today. We did have some questions, but I think that you answered on the first from Pascal Roux. There was a question regarding Barcelona Convention, and Pascal, if you would, yeah, he's just typing that he needs to go to the next meeting. So you can read what he wrote there, but there's also a question from Julia Machado. What comes after the implementation plan, and what to expect from the BlueMed on the Ocean Decade agenda? You did touch up on that, but maybe you could.
Yes, I think that both questions are relevant. I totally share with Pascal the constraints about the fact that there are too many frameworks. I have to say at the same time that each one acts with a specific purpose. The Barcelona Convention, and in particular the coastal zone management, is clearly a framework to act in synergies, but it has a specific objective to dealing with the monitoring and mapping of the pollution impact. So here we are dealing with the blue economy in a broader meaning, and also the scale of the initiative. The United Nations is a global organization, and this is a branch that acts to the at the regional scale, the Mediterranean level. We are born from inside in the Mediterranean, thanks to the support of the Union for Mediterraneans. And this is a proof, and it's something that the countries really struggle of the fact that there are many different competencies on the sea. If at country level does not exist a ministry of the sea, and I think Portugal and France are two exceptions in this, it's crazy because you have the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, the fisheries, the environment, the research, everyone can say some words and some, let's say, insight about the sea. And this is part of the complexity, and it's part of the what we want to let's say tackle with such an initiative. Coming to the second question, thank you, because it's a very recent news, because yesterday we ran a second workshop, a regional workshop to prepare the activities of the Ocean Decade. Again, we have an issue of box into a box like Matryoshka, because the IOC, the Intergovernmental Oceanographic Commission, that from UNESCO, that is the implementing body for the decade, what set another framework for the development of the decade, which again, because it's a United Nations body, acts at global level. So yesterday during this workshop that was very interesting because it goes through lessons learned from many different experiences, including UNEP MAP and including BlueMed, thus in dialogue. The concerns, there was some worries that you restart again process and you don't basically do anything. This is not the case. We would like to bring the BlueMed results into the decade, and when the Mediterranean program from the decade will be put in place, basically all the results of the BlueMed will be taken. And this is a little bit about the future. The future of the BlueMed is also to be introduced in the European research streams and the decade ones, among other. But these are the two key pillars to really see the future and the full development of the BlueMed implementation plan into the European Horizon Europe research framework and the decade. And of course, the uptakes from the national agency is the aim, but we need to be realistic, and we need to say that we are struggling now with the COVID crisis, so there will be other interest, but just think, and we just organized a workshop on ICT services for post-pandemic tourism, that tourism is at stakes, and I think that what we address in the implementation plan, and you can go through it. I put the reference in the link in the presentation. I think can serve also an economic renaissance of specific sectors, like in a crisis situation as such.
Perfect. I had some questions for you, but you answered them all. So I was also wondering about the role of ICT, digital innovation, digital transformation, but you just touched upon that. And the other thing that is really interesting to me is engagement of young people. You mentioned that you have young ambassadors programs. So could you give me a little bit more about that? So how?
Yes. I just take also 1 minute to say, yes, that on the digital, there will be a very big, let's say, I would call it investment, because there is the idea really to realize the digital twin of the ocean. So beside tourism and beside, at the same time, combine with the marine spatial planning, the ICT and let's say, big data management will be the tool, the practical tool. We didn't explore in detail the marine spatial planning priorities, but it is based on the use of this big data and ICT solution. Coming to the young, we noted them. We started a couple of years ago, but we noted that now it's a trending topic. In each basin has its own youth program. The decade has his early ocean career professional. The European Marine Board has the young ambassador. So I think that finally the Commission, the IOC, everyone realized that, I mean, the only way is to engage the young into the system, and not only to train them, but in a way to be trained. The clear framework here is it's the two-way engagement. The program that we developed, we were driven by the fact that we need to fill the gap between North and South. So you saw that the young ambassadors are all from the southern shore. But the work that the colleague of mine implemented with them was really to train them, but let them act. They were total protagonists, and they deliver some very valuable activities in their country on fields that turn into communication products also to be shared. And what I see now, it's very nice that the attempt to cross-share experience among the basins. And this is another direction of the European Union to keep the basin experience connected, because of course scientific issues are different. I mean, the Black Sea is another story with his anoxia issues and whatever, but there are some good practices that can be really exchanged.
Okay, thank you. Leandra, maybe you have something to add? Just unmute yourself, please.
Sure. Yes, thank you. Thank you very much. It was a very interesting talk. So, and I see many connections that many topics are also involved in our alliance. I don't know, from different trainings, from hackathons even. We will also have these hackathons connected to sea. We participated in one recently, Ocean Hackathon. So this is something that's very interesting for us. And I was wondering, in which way do you see that we can get involved in BlueMed activities as European University?
Well, in many ways. I think that, and again, I thank you for the invitation. As a matter of fact, at the end, it's about people. Mm-hmm. So the key player in this case was Professor Aldo Drago, because he is the Maltese delegate in the steering body of the BlueMed initiative. So I think that again, it's here that the research and policy come together. I think that in his capacity as the delegate to the BlueMed initiative, it can really strengthen and see how to move forward. Now I am the next step, because we made this collaboration through this mall action, and this is one example I mentioned before. This is a small thing, but it could be a seed. So we really compare it to when we start, each time we added up some new actors, because the environment is fast changing. In fact, all the time we mapped also for the pilot on plastic, from one year to the other, you have to update your mapping, because there are plenty of initiative and projects coming out. And I think you are recent in the landscape, so this is the very first and important contact to be kept alive. So this is yes, so it was important for me to listen to your introduction, also for let's say having a clear picture of you and your target.
Okay, thank you very much. So we'll definitely keep in touch.
Yes, for sure.
So thank you, Margherita. Thank you all for your active participation today, especially those that ask questions. Please do follow the social accounts of the CEU Alliance and the website c-eu.com for the announcement of the upcoming sessions. For the next Blue Talk session, which is planned on 14th of December, Anabela Marquez Santos, economic analyst from Joint Research Center of European Commission, will introduce us and cover the topic of recovery of tourism and how COVID-19 is affecting tourists' preferences. And once again, thank you all. Thank you, Margherita.
Thank you very much, and thanks to the audience. And I wish you a very good running of the series.
Yeah, I hope this is just the start of our cooperation. When you exit the event, you will have just short 3 questions, and please answer them. It will help us to make better events in future. Thank you all, and bye-bye.
Bye. Bye-bye.
Bye, ciao.
Bye-bye.
Take care.